Blade just got reworked in Marvel Snap, and this card is now really bloody good. Before, a big problem with Blade was you were always fearing discarding something you didn't want to hit. For example, if you played Blade on turn 1, there's a huge risk of you discarding your Morbius or your Colleen, which you're going to play on turn 2. Or if you were to play Blade later on in the game, around turn 4, there's also the chance that you could hit your M.O.D.O.K, which then just completely ruins your game plan. However, Blade now is targeting the rightmost card from your hand, so you know exactly what it's going to be hitting before you play it, which is great. But even further to that point, which makes Blade great, is discarded cards like Apocalypse and Swarm do end up being at the right side of your hand. So you can often combo Blade with the card that you just drew, and then Blade is going to be discarding the card which was most recently discarded, like Swarm or Apocalypse, because those discarded cards migrate to the right side of your hand. So Blade's really interesting. I do also want to try Blade out with Ghost Rider down the line, but this one is just a classic discard deck. The discard decks haven't really changed in my opinion. Daken is the one card who has been added to this list recently. And the 12th card, which is Blade in this case, I never really liked anything. We tried Nebula as a 1-drop, we tried Collector, we tried all sorts of different things, Absorbing Man. Nothing really felt particularly amazing, but Blade is just now going to be the absolute source. One thing to mention as well that you could try is you could try a Lockjaw style of deck with this. I did try it, but it felt quite clunky, and so this is the list that we're going to be running. The key thing with Discard really is Discard is a very fair deck. So you're able to beat a lot of decks consistently, but you're not going to be able to beat them when they draw the nuts. Like against a Deadpool deck, for example, because we have no tech cards, if they draw the Deadpool early on and the Deadpool is huge, we're not going to be beating them. Similarly, against Mr. Negative, we can't really outpoint those kinds of decks. So one thing you could also consider adding is a Legion into this deck for Hellcow, just to maybe give us like some kind of potentially powerful way of winning in matchups where our opponent is really, really popping off. But we're going to take it for a run in the Gold Conquest, see if we can get our first Infinity ticket of the season. So we have Colleen into Swarm. The rest of the hand isn't looking spectacular though, with no Apocalypse, for example. Daken on turn 3 ain't terrible though. Daken into Mer Island has got potential. I think we're going to be aggressive and go for it. But yeah, Discard should be pretty good into Loki. That's like one big advantage of it. Oh, bloody Nora. That's a terrible location for us. Somewhat forced to play the Swarms out. Opponent skipping turn 2 can't be too great for them either, but the bloody... I forgot this is also going to go back into my hand. The Shard is actually going back into hand. Atalan, just the worst possible 4th location there. 3rd location, rather. We can go Sif, Shard. But we want to discard the Shard, so... I have to say the Gambit is just too good to say no to, innit? It's just pure value. Don't discard the Sif. Yep, Cerebro 3 is a good shout with the Hobgoblin. The Daredevil, of course, then sets up the Professor X. Gambit puts Apocalypse off to the right. So, of course, if we were to draw the Blade now, we could do some nice stuff. We'll take the M.O.D.O.K off to the right, I reckon. And then, of course, we're going to be drawing the Chavez off the top. But we've got a 16-point Apocalypse to play down, most likely to the left. Yeah, that's true. Cerebro wouldn't play Captain America. Or a Tuma for that matter. So yeah, does look like a Destroyer kind of deck. Like Elite said. And Judson said, are they, to be fair? Which I thought he could have been onto something there. Well, that is pretty rude, I can't lie to you. Little bit of a disaster, that one. But, wait! Do we lose to Orca to the left? I don't even know how many points Orca plays for, guys, I'll be honest. I think it's 16. I'm gonna have to, do a bit of Googling here. Yeah, it's 16. Alright. We win the tiebreaker then. Phew! Thank God for Google. Thank God for Google. I mean, honestly, my hand is not bad. I'm going to throw it out there. We could have even gone for the Morb this turn. I'm probably just not going to bother with Hellcow. I want to play the M.O.D.O.K. We're hoping to find Colleen here. Be nice. Blade would also be great. This is an example of where Blade is so good. Oh, beautiful. I reckon we can snap this back, you know. If we were to have hit Blade here, right, we can play Blade and it discards the Apocalypse. Like, the card is seriously, seriously good. Am I casting more Gwent Masters? Hopefully. I'm also going to be streaming some Gwent in this coming week because there's an expansion out on Tuesday, right? So on Tuesday, I think I'm going to be streaming Gwent. Why not? Who knows? Maybe we'll enjoy it and play a bunch of it. There's the Blade. So, usually you'd always just slam M.O.D.O.K here, right? But the interesting thing is we can go Hellcow Blade. Pretty spicy. I think M.O.D.O.K is still better. Hellcow Blade is more points on the board by quite a significant amount with Stark Tower, though. But we get less Morbius points, but we don't need more Morbius points. So maybe, unironically, it is Hellcow Blade. How curious. How curious. Yeah, we could also go Hellcow Blade, play the Swarms. I like this play. I don't think I'm gonna play the Swarms. We could play one maybe, like here. All right, let's try it. Let's try it. Professor X mid is a possibility, but I don't think they can beat us with all the Stark Tower buffs. Morbius is already going to be winning us the left, as we're discarding 6 cards here. And we go for the Hellcow first, because we basically want the first discard to hit the Swarm, and then the second to hit the APOC. Yeah, and the Morb does beat Jeff as well, exactly. Feeling pretty good. I guess it's quite possible they play Spectrum, right? With like Captain America, Colossus. It's actually very, very likely. So Spectrum is something we should fear. And perhaps we should have left the space open in Stark Tower. Like, perhaps we shouldn't have played the Swarm at all. We snapped long ago. It's for 4 cubes. They snapped early. We snapped back. Yeah, that's true. We could have got Hobgoblin. There is the Professor X, like we feared. And really the big question now is... There's the Blade. Like, Blade is just insane. The big question is, does Spectrum even beat us? And I don't think it does it?
All systems go.
Spectrum is 2-4. How much? I'm having to look up my opponent's cards, because they have cards I never play. Yeah, +2. Beautiful. Alright. Lovely jubbly. They have 2 cubes left. It's been pretty smooth. And they're out. All right. On to game number 2 of the Gold Conquest with discard. So far, so good. So it looks like a lockdown deck, which I don't think is a bad matchup for us at all with Morbius and Dracula. Rickety Bridge. They probably have... Well, Professor X is one way of trying to win that one. Let's go over here with the Morb. Don't love the look of the Sif here, I have to say. Aye. Guess we're taking the Sif. Alright, Rickety Bridge is open for business. So this is like not a very good curve because we have no discard targets in hand. There we go. So interestingly, Blade is now active. So I love the idea of Blade Hellcow on turn number 5. That's really nice. Hellcow would often feel pretty awkward before, with that not really being a reasonable play to make. I don't think we're going to snap still. Honestly, we could though, but they've had a pretty good curve themselves. We haven't had the best. Cosmo comes down, which is actually a pretty big threat. It's pretty difficult. Would have loved our Dracula to have ended up there. Colleen is also interesting. So, I mean, we can go... They've snapped us. I mean, Blade over here looks very nice, but we'd want a Hellcow first to try and discard the... Well, we will discard the Colleen, and then Apocalypse will get hit by Blade. I can honestly see us staying in this one. It's tricky. I don't feel terrible about staying in this one. They have no Nebula, no Sunspot. I don't want to snap them back, but I'm going to stay in it. Leech is not a problem. Feeling pretty okay about my chances, honestly. So the question is, how do we play this one out? I think the answer is just this, right? Not going to snap, because they should run. Feels bad that I definitely could have got more cubes off them. I'm not sure we played this one optimally in terms of like the fact they didn't snap, but it felt like if I snap on turn 6 here, they're going to run. They should never have played this out, I think. White Hot Room is pretty intimidating, but they go for the Nebula there, which I think is a mistake. Oh, let's go. I was so nervous, but we get the high roll. They lose the Leech. Probably not a bad discard for them. No matter what we draw, we can play it here. Swarm is the worst draw therefore, I guess, because we don't want to play Swarm. Daken's not so bad, is it? Now the question is, do we contest the White Room? And I think with Nebula there, it's just a no-brainer, right? Hey, Geordie, didn't get a notification. Oh, rip. Don't let me know anyway. Sunspot comes down. It's always Dracula here because we're going to follow up with a M.O.D.O.K play. The question is how many, like, do we want to still contest the White Hot Room? Kind of not really. Kind of not really. Daken gets doubled. The Morb goes crazy. And then we can just play the Chavez on the last turn, which means Dracula discards Apocalypse. So they do get the White Hot Room. And they Magic, which is honestly a bloody good play against us. Magic is a big problem for this deck, really, after we've M.O.D.O'd. Magic on 5 is definitely the time to do it. I mean, the good news is we have an extra turn to just play into Limbo. Which makes things pretty awkward for them, doesn't it? And we just pray that it's Sif or Colleen and not Swarm off the top. Gambit would have been lovely here. I'm doing really good, thanks, Geordie. I've been in Cambridge for the last 24 hours. Went to visit a good friend of mine who had not seen much this year. It was really nice. So, it's always Sif. The question is, where? Actually, is it always Sif? I mean, it's possible we could do this, right? This is a really tricky one. Very, very tricky. So, Sif discard is obviously plenty to win the left. You could probably say we're already winning the left anyway, to be fair. Nebula's growing by 2, so they're at 24. Sunspot can get 7. So our max of 31, which we're just beating. So we literally don't need to play left. If we play the Sif, that is. The question then is, do we play the Sif mid or right? Or do we just play A.P.O.K down to the right? Like, that's the other big line. But then the problem is, if I go A.P.O.K to the right, they can float left and we'll lose. Oh, they've got plus... they've got the White Hot Room as well. True. I think I'm going to go for this play, you know. This play, rather. You get 2 discards. I think we're fine to Sif here. So it looks like Sif right was the play. Should be fine. All eyes on Misty Knight. Nice. Nice. Nice! Thanks for the shout on White Hot Room. We got there. I think basically any play we made was winning. Victory. They didn't even beat us mid. Alright. I mean, the deck's just doing the business, innit? Go Conquest. On to number 3. We go. Could have maybe just played the shard out. Get the Discard Swarm. There's the Loki. It's just unbelievable how much the peak screwed us, isn't it? Probably should have just conceded so I didn't give away more of my cards. In my deck. Bad start with the peak showing up after we'd already locked in a 4-cube game. So they lost Coulson. They have no Collector down. Oh, I was late on the snap here. I decided to snap when they didn't play Collector. But I was a wee bit late. Dracula's going to go down the middle. Mate, the hand is actually just pretty insane. M.O.D.O.K off the top is the dream. Yeah. I got the snap through a wee bit late there, but we get a cube at least. And we have got the Daken, Dracula, M.O.D.O.K Apocalypse line. It's just a shame we didn't have the Morb on 2. It's basically the best setup is like Blade on 1, discard an Apocalypse or something, into Morb, into Daken, Dracula, M.O.D.O.K. I mean, I have to say though, the Gambit, kind of too good to say no to, innit? But they've clearly got the Loki. Do we want to roll the 50-50? I think we might. I think like 50% of the time this Gambit is just game winning, right? I'm not going to snap on it. Uh-oh. Okay, no Loki. It was a bit of a bluff, perhaps. No! No, 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 no! That was the worst thing to hit. So, suddenly Dracula is looking a lot worse because I'm not going to be able to empty my hand. We could go Daken and then Colleen Sif on 5. Seems reasonable. Alright, so we're both going to fill up the raft, it looks like. And I've just remembered what happens with Colleen. If you slam down Colleen before the raft... If we slam down Colleen, we're going to discard the card we get. So, let's go Sif Morb instead. And we can maybe Colleen Dracula on the last turn, perhaps. Tribunal, I mean... Certainly interesting, isn't it? They're probably getting a lot of jank off this Loki, I have to say. Yeah, I think we're looking at Dracula Colleen as our final play here. I quite like the look of it, honestly. Putting a lot of extra stats mid. And obviously the Tribunal is I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter where we position stuff, right? Let's just do this. I'm snapping it, you know. I'm going for it. I think we have so much surprise value here. So 50-50 on the Dracula, what we discard. It is a lot more points to hit the Apocalypse. We're probably losing mid, but those points mid are getting distributed into the other 2 locations. That's why I like it. We've got so much surprise value. One concern, I suppose, is going to be like some random Galactus that they get or something going to the right. Yeah, I think you're right. Loki would have removed the Raft card. Absolutely. That's a good point. So they did what we almost did, where we almost discarded our Raft card. It's for 6 cubes if they lock it in, which is lethal for us. They'll still have some health left. I've got a feeling they're going to play on here. And I feel pretty good about it. Pretty okay. But I'm not sure, to be honest. They lock it in. It's for 6. Daken goes middle. Colleen, perhaps, as well, to discard. Oh, it hits the Morb. That's fantastic. And then the Hellcow, does it hit the shard? It misses the shard. So you can see the value here of our discard deck against Loki. Doing the business. And here's the Living Tribunal. And now all eyes on Dracula. I don't even think it matters what we hit. I think it's already done. It is already done, ladies and gents. Let's go. Alright, 3 more cubes. Discard just looking like the absolute nuts. They snap. My hand is pretty good, so I think we're going to have to stay. Otherwise, we have to beat him twice. Rather just try and beat him once. We definitely got very unlucky in this game with the peak losing 4 cubes. On a bit of RNG showing up. Oh, God. Where's our curve, mate? Blade off the top would be a disaster. Blade off the top would be a true unmitigated disaster. Hello, sunshine. Come on, don't discard the M.O.D.O.K or the Dracula. That's the worst thing. I don't really care about the Hellcow. Of course, I'd love it to hit the Apocalypse or the Swarm, but just please not the Dracula or the M.O.D.O.K. Get in. Hit the kitty as well. Come on, just for the... Oh, the high roll of dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a thing of beauty. I'm feeling pretty good. We didn't have the Morb on 2, or the Colleen on 2, or the Blade, which obviously would have improved our points, but... Throne Room for my friend Dracula, I love the look of. This Yellow Jacket was negative points. I guess it took him out of Shang-Chi range. They haven't seen all our cards, I suppose. I'm pretty confident Dracula is just winning the right on its own. Feeling really good about our chances here, you know. Imagine, though, if we had the flipping the Morb down on the board as well. But this is for the Infinity Ticket, the first time of asking with discard with the newly buffed Blade. The fact that we're good into Loki is definitely a key reason why I think this deck makes a lot of sense right now. They can't Shang-Chi us. The question is, how do we play this one? How do we distribute the points? We definitely want to play the Chavez because Dracula is going to go to 16, which just wins Throne Room. They can't beat that. So we're winning the right. And then we just want to put as many points into another location as possible. So I think it's just like this. I like it a lot. We'll lock it in. It's an impressive amount of points in it, but it's not enough to beat us. Lovely jubbly. Lovely jubbly. Now, interestingly, we've done it. What I could have done, trying to think if there's anything they could have done. I don't think there was. They could have had Colleen to the right and Morb left, but then they only have 4 points extra. We still beat them. So, yeah, lovely. Look at that. All right, well, I guess we'll see if we can do another gold conquest with it. Because the first one was smooth as butter. All right, we're looking for the Swarm. The Morb is also great as it just is a free card to put on turn 2. Or is it? Does the Iceman have other ideas? It's actually a pretty good hit, I think. Ongoing effects doubled with Morb in hand. We've got to go for it, haven't we, really? We're also like hoping against Shuri to just be aggressive with the snaps and just hope that they don't have Shuri in hand, for example, right? And then if they stay in, they might end up missing the Shuri, but they stayed in. Now, of course, there's a chance they draw it, but unlucky if that happens, really. What are you going to do? There's the Swarm. We're absolutely going to take the Colleen here. That's what I'm saying when I said that Colleen seemed like a pretty good thing to hit. The Morb is going to the moon, ladies and gents. We'll take the Hellcow. Definitely not interested in taking Dracula without Apocalypse in hand. Shame it got discarded. It would have been a nice option to have had still. They did find the Shuri after all. Don't really know what to do here. All my plays pretty terrible. I guess we're slam jamming the Daken. And maybe we could even slam the swarms and just try and have Gambit hit the Shuri card. I can see some merit. So 50-50. But the logic here is that we know that their Shuri's going through, so then if my Gambit's got a chance of high rolling. If we hit this, I'm a god. God amongst men. It's a 20%er. No! We tried. So now the question becomes, do they have Taskmaster? Because we're probably beating everything else. 26 on Taskmaster plus Kitty. Oh well, it's not even a question. They didn't even retreat later, which is just a misplay. We'll skip. That's a bit of a bummer. We'll get the Morb into the Nexus here. Gambit could do us a job in the Nexus. They didn't play armor yet, so... Let us see it. Angela and the Man of Ice. Bit of a bummer hit that, isn't it? This Iceman is destroying me. I guess we take Colleen at this point in time. Probably put her into the left. No real reason not to, I think. No Shuri yet. I don't hate the look of Gambit either, but Sif is more points guaranteed on our Nexus. I really don't hate the look of the old Gambit though, but let's go for the Sif. I think it is a snap too, Benzo. I was thinking of snapping too. Hello, Bane. It's good, mate. Really good, thanks. We won our first game of... oh, it's actually not even guaranteed, is it? So maybe it's just Gambit. I think it might be Gambit, you know. And I'm going to snap. I agree. The fact they didn't Shuri yet, it could be a good play from them, and they're going to Shuri on 5. But if they're going to Shuri on 5, they can't Taskmaster as well, innit? So I don't think that makes that much sense for them. I think they just missed the Shuri. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, Gambit. You know what to do. You know what to do, son. And he's thinking, yeah, hit the Iceman. Alright, we'll take it. Hit Vision. Is there ever a world it's more points to go M.O.D.O.K? I think that there's definitely a world it's more points to do so, innit? It's actually just better. Way better. Unless they see this coming, and well, I mean, if they have Shang-Chi, we could be in trouble anyway, innit? Doubt they have Shang-Chi in a Shuri deck, doesn't seem likely. Soulful Inspector, currently down to 8 cubes. We're also on an 8 cube mark. It is a battle of the Nexus. We definitely fear the man known as Shang-Chi. It's wonderful. It's just beautiful stuff. Ladies and gents. I think the Apocalypse was losing as well, right? Morbius could have been so good for us. Colony X Mansion, be kind. Be kind. That is not kind. That is actually very much not kind at all. Bloody awful.
Opponent snapped. Escaped.
It's a great starting hand, that. Oh my god. Look how good Blade is, guys, in discard now. It's a guaranteed hit. It feels so good. My biggest problem with discard as well was this 12th card. I just didn't like anything that I tried. I didn't like Collector. I didn't like Nebula. That was probably the best hit. Actually, Swarm. Definitely the best hit. Which was the only other thing it could have hit. It can't hit M.O.D.O.K. Alright. That's a bit of a bummer. Colleen would have been pretty spicy for the Gamma Lab value. Gamma Lab is looking like a big old struggle. Saying cheap, please. Thank you. So, I mean, the question if we go for this play is like, are we actually even going to be winning this still? I don't think they've got... I think we've got to go for it, right? Like, we could just go Sif, but... Like, Swarm is just not doing that much for us in a game where there's 2 Hulks on the other side of the board. And also, the Gambit can absolutely pop off here and we've got initiative, so feeling pretty good about our chances. Not sure in terms of Gambit positioning. Right seems fine. Sif Colleen on 5 isn't the worst. Hopefully we hit the Apocalypse, of course. M.O.D.O.K off the top could be nice. Come on. Don't let me down. The ultimate high roll. Let's go. Looking good, ladies and gents. The M.O.D.O.K is wonderful too. I think it's always M.O.D.O.K here. I mean, the other thing we could consider doing is Dracula this turn and then M.O.D.O.K next turn. I actually quite like the sound of that. I like the sound of that a lot. Let's go over here. Life's good, Brown Paladin, thanks. I've just been seeing a friend in Cambridge for the last day, which was really nice. Good to just have a bit of a change of scenery. Cambridge is a really, really nice place. I like it a lot. I'm actually meeting like another old school friend later on today as well. So yeah, mate, I'm good. Could definitely do with doing more of that kind of stuff, you know. Alright, now the question is, well, Captain Marvel can move mid. I think it's just always M.O.D.O.K here to stop the Marvel moving to the right to win it. It's a no-brainer, really. They can't concede, of course, because this is for all the marbles. For them it is, at least. So the left is secure.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
And that's GG. It was looking scary after the first game. It was looking like it might be a bit of a rough matchup. But Discard delivered. It came through. And that's 4 wins in a row in the Gold Conquest for Discard, mate. Right, a bit of a bummer with the Apocalypse. Not really sure what to do because now if we play Colleen, it's going to be Discard and Blade. So a little bit awkward. Hopefully we hit the Morb. I'm honestly going to play nothing, I think. We could have just played Colleen. Kind of a tough call, really. Take the Sif for sure. It looks like it might be a Phoenix Force deck with Dagger, which isn't typical. Oh, mate, the change to the Blade is incredible. The card is so good now. It's one of the best one-drops in the game now. Unironically. The card is insanely good. Like, really well and truly. Like, look at this. I can discard my Swarm guaranteed. Hello. That's an unbelievable value right there. We'll go for the Gambit first in case we hit the M.O.D.O.K, because I'd rather hit that. I'm feeling very good about my chances. I wonder if we snap back. I'm going for it. So Blade now discards the rightmost card from your hand, guaranteed. I support Everton, Scatman. Unfortunately. Which I, of course, say somewhat in jest. Come on, hit the vulture or the dagger, please. That's not bad, is it? Look at that. That's not bad, is it? Look at Blade go, mate. We even called it. And we can Colleen to hit Swarm this turn. Morb would be great. M.O.D.O.K's not so bad either, is it? My God. I think we're popping off, guys. I think that's what's happening right here. It's still losable though, isn't it? Heimdall is striking some fear into my heart. I decided not to move anything, which is possible I'll regret. Very possible, because we've got all our stats in kind of the wrong place, really, haven't we? I think we might have been supposed to have moved stuff. Might have. I mean, the thing is, they can't Heimdall and beat us, though, can they? They can't Heimdall and beat us, so do I really care? I've got the swarms too. I mean, Apocalypse is big enough that it actually takes left still. Or Swarm, or Apocalypse. Maybe we Swarm here as well. I like the look of it. I really, really do. Pretty impressed by that points output from their deck here as well, considering we destroyed one of their cards also. Oh, that is a spicy little play, that is. I really like that. It's not going to beat us, though. We win left. I'm very surprised they played on when they saw how big my APOC was, right? Like, look at the size of this dude. My goodness. This deck is feeling insane. We did high roll. Don't get me wrong with the Gambit, discarding it. But the fact that the Blade is targeting the Apocalypse now. Guys, can I just remind you, we're now 5 games in Gold Conquest undefeated. We're about to get our second Infinity ticket. I think Limbo is pretty bad for us overall. We'll take the Daken. I think we risk the Danger Room as well. Why not? Like I say, I think Limbo overall is not good for our deck. So let's just take some risks early so then we kind of know where we stand. They also have a Daken. We definitely don't want a Sif. So it's going to be Colleen, Blade. The question is, do we want to discard the Shard now? We don't really, do we? We want to discard the Swarm. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Blade first, then Colleen. Sounds saucy. I'm tempted to snap, you know. Like, all I've done is play Daken and my curve is really good. I'm gonna go for it. The main thing with Limbo, with discard, is if you know it's coming, you can play around it. The big problem is if Limbo shows up on turn 5 exactly, and you play your M.O.D.O.K, you're really just relying on a good top deck turn 7. And it's actually a discard mirror. Perhaps Banzy's watching us play right now, because it does so far look like the exact same deck. Not watching us play right now, because, you know, but they might have been inspired. Perhaps not. I do think the discard deck basically builds itself, in fairness. I don't think it's very difficult to optimize at all. The Sif is now looking more appealing. We can take the M.O.D.O.K on 5. We could just take the M.O.D.O.K now, and then the Chavez, and then the APOC. We'll probably just do that, right? I think we'll probably just do that, mate, to be fair. I'm going to continue to risk the old... Wait. I might have been... Oh, God, guys. I've got a bad feeling about this. I think I was supposed to play a Swarm out. Is my hand going to be full? I think my hand's looking very full, and I don't think I'm even drawing the bloody Chavez anymore. So that's something to bear in mind. And M.O.D.O.K died. What a heartbreak. Okay. They're playing Wolverine, so they're not a disciple of Speci. I said the deck build itself, but for some reason they're playing Wolverine. So... yeah, I don't know about that, Chief. We'll play 1, I guess, because we could... maybe... oh, we should have played 2 into Danger Room, right? That was the play. We were supposed to play 2 into Danger Room. So if one of them dies, then we can replace them. Didn't really do enough rope in this game. I was thinking it was in kind of autopilot mode, but as it turned out, it wasn't. We've got to hope they don't have a random dude here, Legion. The Chavez survives. There's the Dracula, which is the only top deck really, which seemed worth risking. The question is just, do we want to risk this? I think we just go down here. Let's try it. I definitely regret not playing a Swarm down into Danger Room last turn though. Left is secure. All eyes on mid really. Is it going to be a Dracula perhaps? Silver. Thank you, mate. Cheers for that. I forgot about the Daken growing. Maybe left isn't secure. I think it's fine, isn't it? Yeah, it's got to be. Alright, we win the mirror. I mean, Silver Samurai is pretty interesting. Would it make the cut if I owned it? It's not a card I'd thought about. I suppose it probably wouldn't, to be honest. 4 cubes. It's a good start. Slow start, I will say. Yeah, Morbius versus no Morbius is not looking too hot for us, I have to say. Eternity range is huge here. So we can go Colleen, Blade, which gives us a whole bunch of swarms. Is that even good, though? It might not even be good. Maybe we want to go Blade, Colleen, and just get rid of the Daken. Daken is pretty good, though. I'm not going to lie to you. We could just go Daken now. But the Eternity range is surely the priority here of everything. I think it does take priority. I'm actually going to discard the Daken rather than the Swarms. Is that even good? If we discard the Swarms, how's our hand space looking? I think it's fine, isn't it? We discard Swarms, so we end up with 5. And then we discard another Swarm, so we end up with 6. We still draw, I do believe. So, the fact we still draw and we clog them with a rock makes this the better play overall. And I'd rather keep the Daken because Daken, if we can then find M.O.D.O.K to discard the shard, then Daken's great. So let's take the Daken. Unfortunately, we don't draw here. M.O.D.O.K was the dream card, really. The question is, do we ever play any Swarms to increase the odds of hitting the shard? I guess we don't. I honestly think this might be a concede. I'm not feeling too good about it. If they M.O.D.O.K, it's definitely a concede. Oh, let's go. High roll alert. The Morb is the real problem for us. It's not a very impressive turn. They've got so many Swarms that this Dracula doesn't really look that good. I think we're staying in it. The concern, I guess, is M.O.D.O.K, really, because it's going to supercharge the Morbius. I'm gonna lock it in. It's only for 2 cubes extra to play it out. The fact that they've got Swarms in hand and there's Bar with no name means they can't empty their hand for Dracula. So Dracula's probably not many points. We're ahead going into it. Although the Morb is growing by 2 already. So. Wait. Double Bar with no name? Ladies and gentlemen, that is why you don't play Wolverine. One of many reasons. Terrible card in the discard. GG. The better deck won. In fairness, they lost a 50-50 to lose this game. I think it's safe to assume they had Apocalypse in hand. Did we see it earlier, the Apocalypse? This game, chat? How big was it? If Apocalypse was chilling at 8, then we're going to get 12 points on Dracula, which would have been +8, which would have been a tie. We would have still won tiebreaker. It was already at 12, so it was a 50-50. So yeah, unlucky to our opponent. Unlucky to our opponent. GG though. That is 6 wins in Gold Conquest with discard all in a row. Taking down only one Loki deck on the way, but it seemed like a very good matchup, the Loki. Matchup, big reason to play this card right now. 100% win rate in the Gold Conquest. 2 infinity tickets. Happy bloody days.